Welcome back to the Centered on Buffalo podcast brought to you by DraftKings. This week's guest is a former teammate of mine, got signed back in August, back to the Bills practice squad. Now he's playing a pivotal role on the back end of that defense. That's my good friend, Jordan Poyer. And so we're going to have a little trip down memory lane, catching up. I'm going to ask him about what NFL players think about the trade deadline, how focused they are on that. We're going to talk about some of these young guys and how they're developing and what Poyer sees in their game, which will be fun for you all to hear about. And then we got some fun ones at the end. Make sure you tune in to the whole episode. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the podcast. If you haven't already, make sure you do that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts weekly. And then also in the comments, let us know who you want to hear on the podcast each week. We got two former teammates of mine back-to-back weeks. Last week was Richie Incognito. If you missed that one, go check that one out. Enjoy the podcast and go Bills.
Hit us up on all social media at The Buffalo Pod.
JP, welcome back on the podcast, brother.
It's good to be here, man. Thank you for having me on. It's always good to see you, dog.
Yeah, likewise, brother. All right, so I've been asked this a lot lately. We're recording this on Tuesday. Trade deadline's at 4. I've been asked a lot, like, as an NFL player, how focused are we in the locker room on this trade deadline? And I've generally said, man, it's so far out of our control. You just kind of wait and see what happens. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. To be honest, I just heard about the Sauce Gardner going to the Colts. I haven't been on much of the social media today. Today's, Tuesdays is usually come in and lift and get the body right. You just kind of, I guess, sit back and wait till you get home to kind of see everything that takes place. Like you say, you don't have any control over it. It is always an interesting day just because moves are made and, you're like, oh, Sauce went to the Colts for 2 first-rounders, which is crazy. It just is what it is. So, we got a big focus this week on the Miami Dolphins down south, and so, that's what we're preparing for.
So start your career in Cleveland, make a name truly for yourself in Buffalo, and then last year back down in Miami. How's it feel to now be back to Buffalo?
Yeah, it's incredible. It's almost surreal. I had family out here for the game this weekend, and after the game, we're all at the house, and I'm sitting there and just kind of like open my eyes for a second. I'm like, man, like, you guys, can you believe that we're here? Because last year it was, it was in Miami, and a lot of uncertainty this off season, and just to be here with these guys, with the organization, with all my family are Bills fans. Even when I went down to Miami, they stayed Bills fans, so everybody's super excited for me to be back here, even if it was just being on the practice squad. And obviously now that I'm playing, everybody's a lot more excited, and so it's a really cool opportunity. I'm super grateful for it. It's the way that I want to go out, and there's not very many players that can go out the way that they want to. And my way of going out is finding my way to be in a different role and get back to this organization in different ways. That's what I want to do, because ultimately it's bigger than me, it's bigger than us, and so I'm just trying to impact the game in different ways.
Yeah, August 27th, the Bills re-signed Jordan Poyer. I was fired up about that. If it was just going to be a mentoring role, if it was just, to be around kind of like Micah last year, I said, okay, well, there's a lot of value in having a guy like that on the practice squad. As the season's playing out, I kind of had the feeling that we might see 21 back in the lineup, and we've seen it these last couple of weeks. It's been in a different role. You're coming off the field in dime, and obviously that's different from a role that you've played throughout your career, being an every down safety. How is it being in that role out there?
Yeah, it is different. But just embracing it. I think I'm like, shoot, partly, just how everything kind of has transpired has been crazy. Like you said, signing on the practice squad August 27th. And I came in with the mindset of just come in like a rookie and work your tail off and do everything that they ask you to do. Don't complain about nothing. Don't, just come in, head down and work. And, I did. And, here we are, with the opportunity to continue to, call it revamp the end of my career, because, last year was tough. And, just being able to be here again, I'm just super grateful for all of it. And, I want to do the best that I can, be the best version of myself to help this team win football games and go on this run and go out the right way. So it's been incredible. Just embracing every moment, every meeting, every DB dinner, every win, every loss. It's all part of it. It's all the memories. I'm sure you sit in there and you think about some of the memories that you had, and yeah, it's about the wins, but you really remember the people and how they impacted your life, and those are the moments that I'm cherishing a lot more. Now that I'm here in the situation that I'm in.
Let's take a moment to hear from one of our podcast partners, and that's Dan-O's Seasoning. I worked with Dan Oliver, Dan-O himself, to create a bundle just for our listeners. So right now, you can get my 6 favorite Dan-O seasonings in a bundle. That's the original, the Chipotle, the Crunchy, the Primo, the red pepper seasoning, and the spicy. And you can get all those for 15% off if you use the code EWOOD. So check out the link in the show notes or go to danoseasoning.com and get that offer. You will not regret it. Yum, yum, get you some. Defense is catching a lot of heat going into the bye week, coming off that Atlanta game, coming off the New England game. These last 2 weeks coming out of the bye, I know there's been some personnel changes and whatnot with guys coming off suspension, you in the lineup, Max is back and all that. But what's different, from your sense about this defense the last 2 weeks with those two performances?
Yeah, I think just finally playing good team defense, right? I think collectively understanding the game plan, understanding how we need to execute it, and understanding how each position needs to play in order for us to execute this game plan, right? And last week was a perfect example of not only just executing the game plan, but playing complementary football, offense, defense, special teams. And when those formulas all are working together, you're a hard team to beat. And so, focusing on the defense, we wanted to just play team collective defenses. From our disguises, from our looks, to being able to stop the run and split safety, getting him in predictable passing situations, and now our D line, who is playing crazy, can go eat, right? Joey's playing with the best of all of them. Shoot, AJ's playing crazy, Groot. And we want to just be able to continue to build off of that momentum. I think in the success that we've had here in the past, it has been that, right? We've never had, call it superstars on the defensive side of the football, but we play together collectively, play good together collectively, and a lot of times good things happen when that happens. And so, we're continuing to build, and we have, we saw the product and what we can do, and we want to continue to build on that and keep that momentum going into these next games, in particular this weekend down in Miami.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole Bishop has a huge game last game, 4 pass breakups, leads the team in tackles. How good can he be on the back end of that defense?
He's a great young player, and he's just going to continue to get better. He's super smart, very instinctive. He's super gifted at his athleticism, and so I think the more football that he sees, the more comfortable he's going to be, and the more the game's going to slow down for him, and he's going to be a really good player in this league for a very long time. In particular, I think within this defense for a very long time, and so it's been cool to see him. Even I met him for the first time last year after we played in Miami down south. Just said what's up to him and just gave him my respect. And it's been cool to see him since I got here in August, even this short amount of time, see him continue to grow into the player that he's become, and it'll be cool to continue to see him grow into the player that he's going to be. And it's been cool to work alongside him and pick his brain and how he sees the game, and just going to the back and forth that him and I have, and the relationship that we've built over the last 2 months. It's been cool, and I couldn't think of a better situation for myself to go into a game and play alongside a really good young player like Cole, again, who's going to play in this league for a very long time.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it just seems like he's gaining confidence each and every week. And early in the season, people are asking me, like, okay, well, you're saying it looks like he's not playing confident. How do you get that confidence? I said, you get confidence from watching yourself do that week in, week out on film, making plays, and then you build off that confidence. But it's hard when you get dinged up your rookie year, then you get dinged up in camp. It's hard to gain that confidence when you're not out there seeing yourself do it on film. So it seems like as this season's gone on and he's been able to stay healthy, knock on wood, that he's been able to gain that confidence, which is cool to see. You've been rotating when you come out with Jordan Hancock. What are you seeing from him out there?
Yeah, another really good young player who's going to continue to learn the game and continue to get better. Um, each and every day, each and every week. Just gifted athleticism, and very instinctual, physical, and he when the ball's in the air, he knows how to make a play on the ball. And so again, two really good young players who the more they see football, the better they're going to be. And they both have their head on straight. And so you put those formulas together, those guys are going to be in the league a long time. And I'm on my way out, and so I can see the transition to the Cole and Jordan Hancock era, just like the Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, whatever that looks like down the road. But those are going to be some very good core young players for this team for a long time. And again, I couldn't think of a better situation to be a mentor to those guys and to help them become a better player. Teaching them how I see the game and even just picking their brains of maybe how they even see the game too. So it's been again, I'm just super grateful to be here and to be where I'm at, be where my feet are, and especially grateful for those guys too.
Yeah, I got to ask you about one more young guy. 2 games in, what stood out to you about Max Harrison's game?
I mean, I mean, a lot. There's not one thing. He's fast as hell, which is, just seeing him run even off of a knee injury is crazy. His fast switch, he's physical. He listens, he understands concepts, and um, he's these guys, these young players, man, they keep me young. He keeps me young. Just his juice, his energy, his liveliness. I was just on the Pat McAfee show, and he comes on, just his smile brightens up the room. And so again, he's going to be another player, another core player in this organization, here for a very long time, making plays like he did the other night against the Chiefs. And so the more football they all see together, the better they're going to be. That's this game, right? You come in as a young player, and I keep telling those guys, like, look, good, bad, and different. Just keep learning the game, right? Because you think as a 4-year starter in college, you come into the league, you think you know the game, right? There's
Right.
and really, I look back, I ain't know nothing about nothing, right? And still to this day, I'm continuing to learn the game, right? And it's never a point where you have just arrived, like, I've arrived, oh, I made it. No, like, continue learning the game, continue learning concept, continue, understanding how teams are attacking you, and that's just how you build your inventory of your arsenal, right? And the more you see, the better you're going to be. The more the game's going to slow down, and so um, all three really good young players that again they keep me young, and so it's been cool to work with all of them.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I always felt like my music knowledge, my knowledge of like pop culture stayed relevant all throughout my career. And then when I got out, I was like, oh, I don't know the new hip hop songs. Like, unless I go out and look them up. Like, I'm not in the weight room with these dudes. I'm not in the
For
locker
sure,
room learning the different lingo.
for sure.
And you do miss that. You miss that for sure. Let's take a moment to hear from our podcast partners, and that's our good friends at Waterboy, my favorite electrolyte packets out there on the market. These things are great. I start the day each and every day with one of these to get that cellular hydration going, helps with brain fog throughout the day, helps prevent muscle cramps. And these things are things that I used when I was playing, and I love how clean these are. And I also love all the different flavors they have. You can check them out at waterboy.com. And right now, when you make a purchase, you can get a free trial pack to try out a bunch of the other flavors as well. Go check them out at Waterboy. All right, so heading back down to Miami this week, obviously some emotion with that. It can wear on you mentally. Like, is it just simply, hey, this is another game, I'm gonna go out and prepare and do what I do, or is there just a little added to it?
No, it's just another game. I got a lot of respect for the players and everybody in the organization that showed me love. But at the same time, like, I was over here before I was over there, and I've been in these weeks, and just understanding how to prepare. It's another game. You're gonna play the game. The clock's gonna hit zero. Somebody's gonna win. Somebody's gonna lose. You're gonna come back and get through do your process again. And so you never want to make any game bigger than what it is, what it needs to be, right? Because then you spend so much of your energy thinking of that when you can be putting your energy into something that is more important, that's going to benefit, that moment, that week. So I try to put my energy where it needs to be. Obviously, again, you respect everybody that you play. Yeah, I was down there, but that was in the past, and this is now. I'm just focused on what needs to be focused on, and we're excited about the opportunity. It's always fun to go down to Miami and play.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also where you live in the off season, so it's always fun, kind of going back to familiar places. I get that completely. Now, sometimes it can get expensive. I remember going back to Cincinnati where I'm from, and that becomes a pretty expensive week with tickets. Everyone thinks you get free tickets to all
No,
the games, and you don't. You don't. You get two comped for home games, but then you pay taxes on those, so those aren't that cheap either.
no.
So, regardless,
Crazy system, but yeah.
no doubt. All right. So a guy I know you love, Bobby Babich. You spent time in Cleveland with him, your entire career in Buffalo. Now you come back and he's the defensive coordinator. How cool is it to see him in that role now?
Yeah, I mean, dang, dude. I remember being in Cleveland, and he was the assistant defensive back coach, and him and I were in. I got cut from Philly, went to Cleveland, and him and I for 6-7 weeks straight were in the meeting room at 6 a.m. learning the defense. And he just kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to see some football. And then fast forward a couple years later, he goes to FIU. I think he's a defense coordinator over there at FIU. And my last year in Cleveland that year, then he goes to Buffalo in 2017, where I remember getting a phone call from him and him saying, "Hey, we're gonna try to bring you in." And he's then the safeties coach and coaches Mike and I for 5 years, turned both of us into an All-Pro. And then he goes and coaches the linebackers for 2 years. He ended up turning Matt Milano into an All-Pro, and now he's got the defensive coordinator position. And just to see his growth and to see it's inspiring. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
it's very inspiring because you know how much he cares. He's very passionate, and he's very smart. He understands ball. He might be a little goofy sometimes or off the wall, but that's okay. If you learn how to understand them, that's just Bobby. But again, it's been cool to see him within this defense, within the structure, make the adjustments, make the corrections, win, lose, draw, coming in and starting that process over again, motivating the guys to become better versions of themselves. And yeah, man, it's super inspirational, and I couldn't be more proud of Bobby for the road he's on. And he's going to continue to be a great coach in this league for a long time.
Let's take a moment to hear from one of our podcast partners, and that's Nugsacks Premium Bagged Reusable Ice. If you're tired of the melted ice, water-filled coolers, and the constant gas station runs to buy bagged ice for your tailgates, check out Nugsacks Reusable Ice at nugsacks.com. That's Nugsacks.com, and use code Buffalo to receive 10% off your first order. Grab your Nugsacks and chill. All right, we're going to get to the rapid fire questions brought to you by Dano Seasoning. I saw that you hosted the Bills Halloween party. So how was the party, and who had the best costume?
Oh, the party was cool. It's always fun. We did it at Wayland's. It was Dwayne and his wife Amanda were Shrek and Fiona, and they actually did a fire job. They won the Halloween costume prize, and I was a cowboy alien. Me, I like my aliens, and so I was a cowboy dressed as an alien. My wife was a cowgirl, I guess. It was a Western theme, so
Yeah.
some people came in with cowboy outfits. Josh came in as Neo or John Wick. We couldn't figure out which one it was because I think he said both. Spencer Brown also came in as Neo or John Wick. They both came in, and Josh stood up and he was pointing at him for 20 seconds. They both had the same exact outfit on. It was hilarious. But it was a great night. It's always fun to get the the wives get bored a lot, and so it's fun to get them together and let them go out there and have a lot of fun. All the boys just kind of kick it. So we have fun throwing that Halloween party on, and it's always a good time.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Those parties, whether it's Halloween, whether it's Christmas, getting all the guys together, there's nothing more fun than that. All right, so I'm noticing Sean's wearing actual seeing glasses now on the sideline. Usually wearing sunglasses, now he's wearing these seeing glasses. Is this just him getting old and losing his eyesight?
I don't know. I think it's pretty swaggy. He does it in practice too. He's wearing it in practice too. He's never said anything about it. So it just kind of popped up one day, and now it's a thing. So I think it's pretty swaggy, and I kind of I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I mean, he pulls it off. He
He
pulls it
does,
off.
he does pull it off.
All right. So I polled, social media for questions, and that's where a lot of the questions about the young guys came from. The most popular question, this will be the last one.
All
Most
right.
popular question was, do you have any interest in coaching when you're done playing?
Do I have any interest in coaching? Yeah, but not right away. I do think I can impact. I can continue to impact the game of football. Whether it be at the collegiate, whether it be at the high school level, collegiate level, or professional level. Definitely want to take some time to myself for a little while. I got plans to just be with my family. In the meantime, again, I'm right where my feet are. Those decisions will happen when they happen. Could I see myself doing it? Absolutely. But the plan is to again be where my feet are right now. Enjoy the rest of the season. Just grind it out every single day, every breath. And when those situations present itself, maybe down the road, maybe I'll have a clear understanding of how I want to move. But I do know I want some time off, time away from the game, to just be with my family.
Yeah, be with your family and go get that golf game right.
yeah, with my messed up fingers, bro. That's
Oh, dang! Look at those things.
Yeah, you like those? Those are
You need to
play
get those
football.
things wrapped up.
No, it's good. They don't. I mean, they don't do. They're just ugly, bro. They're just ugly. They're just super.
Man,
ugly.
that's serious. You look like an O lineman with fingers like that.
Yeah, bro. I know. That's 13 years, brother. 13 years. I'm sure you got some. I got ACs. ACs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Years. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the process.
I got the broken legs. I got the scars. I got it all. Which now my kids, they didn't. My daughter was 2.5 when my career ended. My son never got to see me play, so at least I got the battle scars to show them off to him.
Absolutely. Got the stories. Cool stories.
No doubt. Well, I appreciate your time, brother. Good luck this week. I'm proud of you, bro. Always am. Keep doing your thing out there.
Thank you, bro. It's good to see you, man. We'll talk to you soon.